People say trains don't stop at abandoned stations. They are wrong. I work the night shift at a small railway control room. My job is simple: monitor tracks, signal timings, and emergency alerts. Most nights are silent. The kind of silence that presses against your ears until you start hearing your own thoughts. On October 14th, that silence broke. At 3:12 a.m., my screen flickered. A train ID appeared. Train 417. I frowned. There was no train 417 scheduled. I checked the logs. Nothing. No departure, no arrival, no route assigned. Then the radio crackled. "Control, we're slowing down." The voice was weak, distorted, like it was traveling through water. I grabbed the mic. "Identify yourself." A pause, then breathing, heavy. Panicked. "We shouldn't be here." Before I could respond, the signal cut. I pulled up the CCTV feed along the northern track, an old route, shut down 18 years ago after a derailment killed everyone on board. The screen loaded slowly, and then I saw it. A train, old, rusted, lights flickering like dying candles. It was moving. That track had no power. My stomach tightened. As the train approached Platform 7, my heart started racing. Platform 7 was sealed after the accident. No access, no staff, no reason for anything to stop there. But the train slowed and stopped. At 3:17 a.m., the control room phone rang. I answered it without thinking. A woman's voice whispered, "Please open the doors." I froze. "Who is this?" She started crying. "They won't let us leave. They say we missed our stop." I swallowed hard. "There is no train at Platform 7. Silence. Then she said something that made my blood turn cold. "You said that last time, too." I checked the incident archive. My hands were shaking as I scrolled through old reports. And there it was. October 14th, 2007, 3:17 a.m. Train 417 derailment. All passengers deceased. My name was listed under the control operator on duty, but I was 16 years old in 2007. I had never worked here before. The CCTV feed zoomed in on the train doors. They were opening, slowly. Figures stepped out. Men, women, children, all of them soaked. Pale, eyes dark and empty. Some were missing limbs, some were burned, some bent in impossible ways. They walked toward the camera, toward me. The radio screamed to life. "You left us!" Every monitor in the room went black, except one. A reflection, my reflection. Behind me, the control room door was open, and muddy prints led inside. I felt a breath on my neck. The same woman whispered, "You promised you'd bring us home." Memories flooded my mind, memories that weren't mine. The screams, the derailment, the fire, the panic, and me, asleep at the controls. I had been there, not in this life,
In another, the lights shut off. The last thing I heard was the train horn, long, mournful, close. They found the control room empty the next morning. No sign of struggle, no body, just one thing left behind. A log entry typed at 3:17 a.m. Train 417 has departed, all passengers accounted for. And every year since, at 3:17 a.m., a train passes through Platform 7. It never stops, but if you're waiting there, you can hear voices inside, asking for forgiveness.
Night shifts change the way you think. When the world is asleep and you are the only one awake, silence stops feeling empty. It feels alert, like it is waiting for something to happen. I learned that during my job as a security operator for a closed hospital wing on the outskirts of the city. The building was not abandoned. That word made people uncomfortable. Instead, they called it decommissioned. There were no patients, no doctors, and no visitors. Just long hallways, locked doors, and machines that still hummed, even though no one remembered why they were running. And me. My job was simple. I monitored security cameras, checked access logs, responded to alarms, and recorded anything unusual in the night shift logbook. On my first night, the supervisor handed me the manual. It was thin and outdated, and the pages smelled old. Before leaving, he tapped one sentence written in bold on the first page. If the phone rings after 3:30 a.m., record the call. Do not engage. I laughed nervously and asked if it was a joke. He did not laugh back. He just told me to follow it and said I would be fine. The first week passed quietly, almost too quietly. The hospital made sounds you do not notice during the day. Metal ticking as pipes cooled, distant electrical hums, and the soft click of cameras switching angles. Every night, I checked Ward C. That wing had been sealed since 2004 after a fire broke out during overnight care. 6 patients died, and 2 nurses disappeared. The official report blamed faulty wiring. Unofficially, people stopped talking about it. Ward C stayed dark on every monitor until the 8th night. At exactly 3:40 a.m., the phone rang. It was not the modern desk phone, because that one did not even have a ringer. This was the old internal line that had not been used in years. The ring was loud, mechanical, and wrong. I froze as the rule echoed in my head. Do not engage. I watched the seconds tick by on the wall clock. The phone rang 6 times and then stopped. I logged it as instructed and tried to laugh it off, but I did not sleep when I got home. The next night, it rang again at the same time. This time, I was already staring at it. The ring stopped, then started again. Something in me snapped, and I picked it up. I said security, and there was breathing on the other end. Slow, wet breathing, like someone struggling to fill their lungs. Then a voice whispered and asked if they had missed visiting hours. My throat tightened as I asked who it was. After a pause, the voice said they could not find their room and that they had been told I would help. The call disconnected. My hands shook as I pulled up the camera feeds. Everything looked normal until I checked Ward C. The hallway lights were on. They had not been on in years. One door stood open at the far end of the corridor. I zoomed in, and the room inside was dark Something moved, not stepped, but shifted, like someone adjusting their weight. I reported it the next morning. The supervisor listened silently and then closed the report without reading it. He said it was probably a system glitch. When I told him about the phone call, he stiffened and said I was not supposed to answer. He reassigned me to another wing, but that night at 3:40 a.m., the phone rang again. I did not answer this time. Instead, the voicemail system activated automatically. A child's voice filled the control room and asked why I kept hanging up. My stomach dropped. When I replayed the message, I heard something else at the end of the recording. Footsteps, slow and dragging, like bare feet on tile. I stopped checking the cameras, but that did not stop them from changing on their own. On the 11th night, every screen switched to Ward C. Every door was open now. Beds lined the hallway, even though they had not been there before. Figures sat on them, completely still, as if they were waiting. The phone rang, and this time I answered. I told them I had said not to wait. The response came immediately, saying they waited anyway. That night, I dug into the old records. Every night shift operator before me had logged calls after 3:30 a.m. Different voices, but the same message. They could not find their room. They were told to wait. They asked if visiting hours were over. Every operator quit within 3 months except one. His final entry said he answered the call and was going to help. There were no records after that. On the 12th night, the hospital felt wrong. Too quiet. Even the machines had stopped humming. At 3:39 a.m., the phone lifted itself off the desk and rang. I did not touch it. The lights flickered, and the cameras cut to black before coming back on. Every screen showed Ward C. The figures were standing now, facing the camera. The phone rang again, and I answered. A voice said they were cold and reminded me that I said I would help them. The control room door opened behind me. Cold air washed over my neck, and I smelled smoke, burnt plastic, and hair. A whisper brushed my ear and told me I worked there now. I woke up to daylight, sitting at the desk with the phone in front of me and the logbook open. A new entry was written in handwriting that was not mine. It said that at 3:40 a.m., the patients were assisted back to their rooms. Security found me hours later. They said I was repeating one sentence over and over again, saying I would help them find their room. I quit that day. But sometimes, at exactly 3:40 a.m., my phone rings. And when I do not answer, I get a voicemail with heavy breathing, dragging footsteps, and a whisper that says they are still waiting.